Assalamu alaikum. This is Malik Bhai, and I'm hoping you guys are staying strong, staying safe, especially in this time of quarantine, this lockdown. I'm hoping you guys are having a good family time. I'm loving it. Boys, you guys loving it?
Yeah.
Some of us are, some of us are not. But we're locked down. We want to go out and play, but it's a good time for us to connect with the family and at the same time learn together. So another story of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. We finished talking about his conversation with his dad, conversation with his nation, but let's find out what his nation tried to do. Remember, they lost the argument. They didn't know what they're doing, even though they realized their mistakes, that they were wrong, but they continued doing what they were doing. That is usually the norm of people. They just want to do whatever their loved ones were doing. We all look up to someone, and we all look up to our parents, our ancestors, our culture, our society. It's some values are so ingrained in our culture that we just don't want to change it. But always look at something and say, how can I do it better? Does whatever we're doing, are we doing it according to the way Allah wants it? And if He doesn't, then let's try to change it. So now they said, what do you think is now when they came to fighting? How did they fight Prophet Ibrahim alayhis salam? Yes.
They said they're gonna throw him into the fire.
So you know what they said? They said, burn him and help your gods, right? You don't help God. You don't help Allah, right? Allah doesn't need help. If He's really true God, then God does not need help. In this case, they're like, let's help our gods, right? So what kind of God is that, right? They're supposed to be taking care of you, or He is supposed to be taking care of you. There should be one God. In this case, they're like, man, all of our gods were destroyed. Let's fight for their sake. So this kid named Ibrahim, or this young guy, probably a teenager at that time, has destroyed our gods. Let's burn him. Let's show the lesson to everybody else as well. So what we'll do is we'll burn this fire, and the fire was so huge that even if the bird will fly from top, it will burn it. This is how huge it was, and they made it and they let it burn for a while, and they couldn't even come close to it. Ibrahim is not gonna just walk into the fire, right? They have to throw it into it. So let's say they put rope all around him, tied him up. They couldn't even throw it because it was such a big fire that even if you came close to it, the fire will burn them. So what they did was they said, okay, you know what? Let's what is it? Catapult. Let's throw him in the catapult, and that's how we're gonna throw it. So then they throw it. Now, who created the fire?
Allah.
Allah did. Now, Allah's rules apply, but He has, created some scientific laws, but He can change them if He wants. If He wants no gravity to happen, He can change that as well. So fire is supposed to burn, but He asked the fire to do the opposite. So He said, so when Ibrahim landed in the fire, and fire, of course, it burns. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the fire to be cool and peace for Ibrahim alayhi salam. Later on, Prophet Ibrahim, they say that he used to be like, man, the best time I had was when I was in this time inside this fire, because there's nobody around, nobody could bother him, there's no idols around him, and he knew that this fire, this creation of Allah, has been changed in order to give him that peace, so he could worship Allah without any distraction, without any disruption. So this was the story about now, all the people saw him, but now he could be in danger. Everybody hates him. They want to kill him because even something like this, a miracle like fire, did not burn him. So he had to leave. So now, but at that time, before we talk about him leaving to another town, there was this king by the name of Namrud. Okay, so he heard about this miracle performed by a young man. So he asked to bring him. He's like, bring this boy. I want to talk to him. So then again, a debate started again. So far he had a debate with his father. Then he had a debate with his village, his nation, and he won. But nation lost, and they wanted to kill him. Now this is king. Now we're getting to a political level. Imagine you guys sitting in front of Trump, for example, and talking about Islam and telling him that what he's doing is wrong and Islam is the right path. This is a young boy in front of a most powerful king of that time by the name of Namrud. So he heard, so then he's like, okay, bring him. So then he's like, Prophet Ibrahim said, my Allah gives life and death. Okay? So Ibrahim said that my Lord gives life and death. So you know what this king said? He's going to argue, right? So he's like, I give life and death. Like, okay, show me. So you had these two slaves. Okay, these guys are in the jail, and he brings them out. And now both of them were supposed to be executed. Okay, they were sentenced to death. So the one that was sentenced to death, one of them, he goes, "You're free. I'm giving you life." And then the other one, he said, "Execute him," meaning he gave him death. So he's like, "I give life and death." Now, do you think Prophet Ibrahim argued about that? What kind of life Prophet Ibrahim was talking about?
He was talking about
Bringing life from the dead.
yeah,
Being
being dead from the.
right? But you see that all the time. A dead seed we put inside the earth comes out life, and that life gives even more life, right? And yes, us mostly, like, a baby is born out of nothing, literally, right? It's just a speck, and then a life comes out. Yes.
He means like making the human body and like making.
It's not just about human. Prophet Ibrahim is talking about life in general. This life and death system Allah has created, us human beings can't do it. But Namrud was like, I give life and death. Yes, Mikael.
So because he means like bring the sun from the west to the east, or east to the west.
So no, so yes. So now Prophet Ibrahim, very good. Prophet Ibrahim is like, you know what? Fine. I'll let you have this argument. You can give life and death. My Lord gives life and death too. But then he brings a point that nobody could argue. He said that my Lord brings the sun from the east. Why don't you bring it from the west? Okay? And then this disbeliever, he was just shut. He just could not say anything. He lost the debate, right? So he couldn't argue anymore. Now, because Prophet Ibrahim had this certain knowledge, you couldn't take this away. He wanted to take this to another level. He had all right. So now Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives life and death. Okay, he won the argument with the king. Now, how do you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives life and death?
Yeah.
Okay, but you see all these miracles happening in your life all the time, but you're like, you know what? That's science. I want to really see it with my eyes. I can tell you something about Allah. Okay, that's just the knowledge. Okay, that's the certainty that you have with knowledge. But when you see something, what's the phrase in English that we say? Seeing is believing. So he's like, you know what? I want to see it. So now he tells Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has a conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wanted to have, this is called ainul yaqeen. Okay? This is the certainty with the knowledge. So you see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the story of Prophet Ibrahim, father, village, political with the king, and now he has this conversation with Allah where he wants to have an increased certainty. He wants his iman to go even higher. Okay, he wants to see some type of miracle. He's like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, show me how you give life to the dead. I already won this argument with the king, and I proved it that my Lord is the Lord. He gives life and death. He brings the sun from the east and sets it from the west. So
Did the king become Muslim?
no, I don't think he did.
Did he do anything to Ibrahim?
We'll find out. I don't think we talk about it, but I think because of that danger that he had to leave the town. Okay, so now no one believed in him, and no, I don't think he believed in it, so he had to leave the town. So, but right now, but before he leaves the town, which will be next story time, what happened was when he wanted this ainul yaqeen. The yaqeen means what?
Knowledge.
Certainty.
Awesome.
And ayn means what?
Knowledge.
No.
Oh.
Ayn means eyes, right? Aynul yaqeen, the certainty of the eyes. When you see it, seeing is believing. So he asked Allah, show me how you give life to death. So Allah asked, you don't believe? Like, don't you believe in it already? So, but he said, no, I want to be stronger in my faith, right? So he's like, all right, I'm going to tell you to do something. He said, take 4 birds, okay? Slaughter them, mix them up, okay? And then split this mixture into 4 parts. So he takes 4 birds, slaughter them, and then he basically takes a head from here, basically grinds them up and mixes them into one big giant pile of just meat, call it. Then he separates them into 4 different 4 different portions. And then he's asked, then put them in different mountains. Okay, put one in this mountain or this part of the mountain, put one here, one here. Then call them towards you, right? So these, four different mountains, and call them, and they will come to you. And they did. So Ibrahim witnessed miracle of life happening in front of him, right? Now that just gave him that strength in his belief. But we know that we should just believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His words that we read every single day. That is believing in Him as well. So, but Prophet Ibrahim, because he had that, he was Khalilullah. He was the friend of Allah. He had that very strong relationship with Allah. So he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show me a miracle, but not because I don't believe in you. So there are people out there who say that we're only going to believe in you unless we see a miracle. Did that happen in any of the stories that we have read?
Yes.
What?
Ibrahim.
Ibrahim, listen, no, man. Another nation that was like, we're not going to believe that unless we see a miracle in front of. Yeah, what was the name of that nation? You always say Lut for everything. No, it wasn't Ad, because people Ad, yes. And people of Thamud were sent on which prophet?
Suleiman.
And you always say Suleiman because it starts with Sa sound. And we haven't even talked about Lut or Suleiman. Prophet Saleh.
Saleh.
All right. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam gave dawah to his father, his nation. He had a conversation with the king, and now he had this story about him really having this certainty in his belief. No one believed him except one. Who's that person?
Oh, his nephew Lut.
Yes, very good. Wow. So finally, Lut came in. So Prophet Lut alayhi salam, that Musa has been mentioning all this time, that anytime who was a prophet who did this, he would just say Lut, when we haven't even talked about Prophet Lut. Now we're about to talk about it because Prophet Lut was his nephew, Prophet Ibrahim's nephew. So now he takes him, and no one believed in him. So Prophet Lut alayhi salam, they had to find another land to worship Allah, right? So Allah says that we rescued him to a blessed land. What is that land? It is Sham. Sham, or in English they call it Damascus, but that whole area back in the days, just like India. When back in the days, India was what?
Pakistan and Bangladesh.
Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India all together, right? Now it's separated. So same thing. Sham used to be Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, and Jordan, Israel, right? All these areas were part of this area called Sham. And holiest of all of this land was Jerusalem. So on the way, he passed to this area called Haran. Okay, Haran. And these people worshipped stars. So in future, we'll talk about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and his talk with the people of Haran who used to worship stars. So a lot of things to cover in Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Remember, we mention his name in every single prayer. So next time, inshallah, we'll finish his topic about his. There's a lot. Remember, the Kaaba has to be built. His son Ismail has to come. Ishaq, he's gonna get married. We got Hajar, who was our mother.
Prophet Hajj?
No, not in Zippar. Yeah.
The word is called the Zamzam.
The Zamzam. There's so much to cover in the story, and then the Eid that we celebrate, right?
Yes.
There's so many things that we do in our life that is related to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. But right now we've covered his dawah. No, Isan. We've covered his dawah to a lot of people. Now he's moving to another land, but now he's also gonna have a discussion with people who used to worship stars. Stay tight, inshallah. We'll cover that in our next story time. This is Malik Pai. Stay safe. Stay strong. We'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum.